us a short WhatsApp message, record your voice, and join us live as we have your contribution. So, again, thank you so much for joining us. This is Point Blank Saturday. Well, we're taking a short break. When we come back from the break, we'll be bringing in the topic, and our guest is already seated. Stay with us.
We come through like we come through your speakers like.
I'm not regular.
Oh no, maybe it's not. Every day we getting closer. We getting close every day. Super FM. Super FM.
Are we on the air?
Yes, you are.
Super FM. The city's #1 station for family, information, influence, inspiration, and good music. We are one super family like that. Super FM.
And once again, thank you so much for joining us. This is Super 93.3 FM Port Harcourt, Point Blank Saturday. It is 23 hours after a 60-man strong delegation from River State, drawn from political leaders, traditional rulers, and religious leaders, visited President Bola Tinubu in Abuja. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, described the delegation as an inspirational delegation. And the delegation led by the River State Governor, Similai Fubara, commended President Bola Tinubu for recently attracting a $14 billion investment portfolio for projects nationwide during the G20 summit, including the expansion of Endorama petrochemical in Eleme, River State. The delegation also made some critical demands from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. On Point Blank this morning, we shall be taking a look at the gains of the visits of the 62-man delegation to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And we'll be asking the presentation made on behalf of River State. How germane are this presentation to Rivers people? We'll be looking at the promises made by the president to River State and to Rivers people. We'll also be looking at the composition of this 62-man strong delegation to President Bola Tinubu. And we'll be asking the question, are these the leaders of thought in River State? Who actually are they? Several questions in between, the promises made by the president and also the statements made by the River State governor saying that some property have been allocated to Endorama as part of way of improving on the investments of Endorama to River State. And this and many more discussion we'll be looking at, and we will want you to also join in our talk this morning on Point Blank. Share your view with us. The 62-man delegation to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presentation by the River State governor to the president. How germane are they? And those are the questions. My guest is already seated. I have with me the head, Free Expression and Pluralism of the Institute of Media and Society, and the former spokesperson of the Civil Liberties Organization, River State, Mr. Sunny Dada. Good morning to you, Mr. Sunny Dada, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Shegun. Good morning. And Rivers people, good morning.
Fantastic. We will begin the discussion, but first, I just want to play a bit, some extracts of the presentation made by Governor Similai Fubara when he was speaking to President Bola Tinubu. I just want us to take a listen, and we'll begin our discussion after that. Please listen to this.
We also want to thank you for your spirited effort at turning around the economy of this country, and in particular, River State. Your recent effort that yield foreign direct investment to the tune of over $14 billion is highly commendable, particularly your approval for the new investment by Endorama Petrochemical Nigeria Limited in River State. Our people cannot thank you enough for this gesture, and as a show of support for your effort, we have allocated 2,092,790.30 square meter, approximately 209.28 hectares of land to Endorama Petrochemical Limited for requisite expansion. We, the people of River State, and indeed the people of Nigeria, are also delighted about Mr. President's resolve to ensure that the Port Harcourt refinery is back in production by December 2023. These are not only laudable, but are indeed bold, audacious, pragmatic, and strategic effort aimed at revamping the Nigerian economy. However, we humbly urge Mr. President to note that access to the refinery on the East-West Road is in most deplorable state, and we appeal to Mr. President to approve the reconstruction thereof so as to facilitate the transportation of petroleum products from the refinery. On our part, the state government has, in demonstration of our love and support for your kind effort, commenced the construction of Moji Aleto Alisa Refinery Road, which also leads to the refinery, to provide a temporary alternative route for commuters to the refinery and surrounding areas while you embark on the construction of that section of East-West Road. As a people, we have always believed in you, knowing your antecedents as a transformational leader. We know that Nigerians are expecting so much from you within the shortest possible time, but we have advised ourselves and indeed Nigerians to be patient with you, as we can see that your policies and programs are crucial foundation for the future, which needs time to mature and manifest. On a rather sad note, we commiserate with Mr. President, the Nigerian Police Force, and the family of the slain divisional police officer of Ahoda East local government area, who lost his life on account of cruel and outstanding act of some criminal. River State government has already taken up the matter with the seriousness it deserves. As security agency has been fully mobilized to track down and arrest the perpetrators. River State government has already declared wanted leaders of the gangs, 1-2 Baba of Ahoda East local government area and VIP of Ahoda West local government area, with members of their criminal gangs, and placed a bounty of 100 million naira on their head, so as to ensure that they are speedily arrested. River State government and our people have vowed to stop at nothing to apprehend them, to make them face the full wrath of the law. But be that as it may, we humbly plead with Your Excellency to direct the National Security Advisor, the Inspector General of Police, and the Chief of Defense Staff to establish a special task force to take charge of these troubled areas, to complement the efforts of the state government in fishing out these criminals who specialize in pipeline vandalization, crude oil theft, and other nefarious activities, which threaten national investment and adversely affect the economy of our dear, beloved country, Nigeria. Once again, Mr. President, it is worthy to reiterate the fact that the good people of River State decided to pay you this solidarity and thank you visit, to sincerely commend you for your kind and bold effort at repositioning our economy and recognizing our people. We can say without equivocation that this indeed is the first time since the return of democracy in 1999 that River State is truly feeling the impact of a federal government. For ourselves and on behalf of all the people of River State, we pledge our continued unalloyed loyalty and support for Mr. President and Mr. Vice President, and wish you continued success as you embark on the odious task of revamping our economy and transforming our country for the good of all.
Well, there you have it. That was the speech presented by the Rivers State Governor, Similai Fubara, during the visit of the 62-man delegation from Rivers State to President Bola Tinubu. Well, the governor said it was a solidarity visit to President Bola Tinubu. President Bola Tinubu himself described it as an inspirational visit. He particularly praised the delegation. However, the issues raised by the governor, and later on, we'll be bringing to you some of the things President Bola Tinubu said to the delegation. We also have that on recording. And again, Sunny Dada is with us in the studio. And we also want you to join us, having listened to the presentation made by the governor. Would you say the presentation by Governor Similai Fubara to President Bola Tinubu is apt? The things raised by the governor, are these the cardinal things Rivers people need at this moment? The 62-man delegation, well, we also have a recording where the former Rivers State Governor and the Minister of FCT named some of those on the delegation. Perhaps we'll play that so that we can have a glimpse of the 62-man delegation. Are these the rivers of thoughts? Are these the leaders of thoughts of River State? However, let me begin by asking you, Sunny Dada, while we are also encouraging our listeners to send in their comments via WhatsApp. On WhatsApp is 090-594-81021. And you can send in your comments on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Thread. But for you, 62-man delegation, that's powerful by all means. Again, what do you make of this visit?
Excuse me. Thank you, Shegun, for inviting me. Once again, I want to greet Rivers people. I don't think that it is the delegation is about the size. My interest is about the quality of personalities in that delegation. It can be 2-man delegation, 5-man delegation. It can also be 100-man delegation, but it is not in the numbers. It is about the character of the people. How influential are they? Are they able to get the attention of the presidency to fulfill the promises the president made? Are they known across the country? Do they have international clouds to drive development to the state? Who are they really? So it is not really about the size, And again, I have also taken my time to look at the composition of that so-called delegation. I've seen some persons, some notable faces in the state.
Again, I'm just to chip in that, because again, we have the recording by the governor while he was introducing some of them.
Yes.
When you talk about the size, I know, for example, a senior advocate of Nigeria and a one-time president of the Nigerian Bar Association, a prominent legal luminary in Nigeria, and one who is highly revered when it comes to issue of judiciary in Nigeria. Osiji Okosha was on that delegation. I also know that the leader of the Traditional Rulers Council in River State, that is His Highness Sergeant Awuse, was also on that delegation. All the traditional rulers there. We have senators, we have members of the House of Representatives, we have Nigeria's ambassador, I think Maureen Tamino, Our Excellency Maureen Tamino was on that delegation. Again, isn't this quality enough?
Well, when we look at, I like the way you highlighted their positions, the titles, and their standing in the society. Sometimes I also like to draw people's attention to antecedents. So it is not about you are this, you are that. What are your antecedents over time? How well have you served your people? How does the interest of the development of your grassroots community concern? How are you connected? How are you linked, to these communities? Do they see you always, or you stay in Port Harcourt, or you stay in Abuja, or you stay, in highbrow areas? You occupy these status and all of that. So this is not to denigrate, those who are part of that the very important people you have highlighted that are members of the delegation. But what I'm saying is, we also need to interrogate the antecedents of these so-called powerful people that you just highlighted. And that is why I started by saying that it is not in the numbers, it is in the quality.
But again, the president has described it as inspirational team.
Politicians will always, is there anything politicians doesn't praise as long as it is in their favor?
So you think that was a political statement?
Definitely. It is. Every statement that comes from a politician is a political statement. You take it, you can only take it to the bank when you see it happening. But for now, it's a political statement. And it's a normal thing. And I don't know why we are celebrating it as a major achievement.
But again,
because many states have done these visits, and many more states will still do these visits.
Well, I'm not aware of any state giving a delegation as large as what we saw from River State. I'm not aware of that. You might just remind me of that, Sunny Dada.
No, it depends. It depends. It doesn't mean whether because the size of River State is larger or because the size of other states are smaller, but what I'm saying is that we shouldn't celebrate it as a major achievement.
Again, you might think it's not a major achievement, but if you look at the closing remarks of the governor of River State, His Excellency Simnai Fubara, he said, "This is the first time since the return of democracy in Nigeria that River State is beginning to feel the dividends of democracy." And I think what the governor is trying to say to Mr. President is that this is the first time that we are being carried along.
And I am surprised that the governor said that. I am really surprised that he said that, because the governor just, the president has just spent a little above 100 days in office. So what are the dividends of democracy? Is it the appointment
if
that
you
he's
look at
talking
the quality
about?
of the appointment, I mean, we now
The
have
NDDC,
we have the EDM, Executive Director of Finance and Administration. We have Chief Tony Okocha there as River State representative, and we also have a very powerful minister, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, whom the president said is not just an ordinary minister, but is my advisor.
So why don't we wait for these people, these so-called important ministries, for these people to translate their appointment into development, the dividends of democracy in River State? So we shouldn't be too quick, to ascribing, this kind of very I don't know what I will even call it, but I think that statement is completely out of context, because River State has been enjoying in the South. River State has been the most state that has enjoyed federal projects since 1999, even before pre-1999. River State in the South has been under Odile. We had several federal government projects that came into the state. For instance, the siting of the NDDC headquarters. So we can go. So that statement, I think that was completely out of context. Fine, you can praise the president, but to say that somebody who has just spent a little above 100 days in office, that just this short period he has given us much more than we anticipated, because the danger of such comments is that the president may begin to think that, yes, I've already settled everything about River State. I've given them what they want, and they're also confirming it. So I don't owe them anything anymore. Meanwhile, governance has even not started. The ministers are actually just settling down. They're just beginning. We're just seeing governance, commencing. So if from now you're already saying that you have gotten more than what you expected, it means you are telling the man in a competitive environment like Nigeria, where every culture, every tribe, dominant tribes are, competing for attention from the presidency, and you already telling him, even when he has not started, that he has given you much more than what others have given you, and you are already satisfied. It means you are saying that we're okay, even if you don't look at us again till the end of your tenure. So such comments, such statements, I think we need to moderate, our statements whenever we appear in this kind of meetings.
Yeah, fantastic. We'll be looking at all of that, and you've just made a very critical comment. And if you're listening to us, would you agree with Sunny Dada that statement made by the governor to Mr. President would make the president assume that River State has really received its own dividend share under this present administration? Would you agree? And again, Sunny Dada has just said to us that in his own view, the meeting, the 62-man delegation, and some of the comments made by President Bola Tinubu are politics, or comments made by politicians. But again, we would like to have comments on that, and you can send all your comments and view on that. Send it to us on WhatsApp 090-594-81021, or send it to all our social media platforms. I would like to hear from you. But you said something about project, and which is very critical. The governor was very emphatic when he was talking about the road to the Port Harcourt refinery. And he said he appreciated the fact that President Bola Tinubu is planning to bring about the refinery to be upstream by December 2023. However, it was very, very important that the governor noted that the road to the refinery needs urgent attention, which the president has also commended to.
Yes, and I want to commend, I want to commend the governor, the delegation, for raising that issue with the federal government. It's a criminal negligence. It's a criminal negligence. That road is supposed to be the gateway, to the economic nerve of not just the state but of the country. And that place has been deplorable, and it didn't start today. Whenever there is a protest, you see the government, mobilizing some tractors, some bulldozers to the side, and after everything, you don't see any action. So it is good that it was mentioned before the president, and we also heard the response of the president. We hope and sincerely pray that the promise will be translated into actual action. We want to see work on that road. As a matter of fact, I think that Rivers people are too patient, because that is the road. That road leads to a refinery. That road leads to the Endorama that we're talking about. That road leads to ports and so many other, the free zone, the oil and gas free zone. And so it's a very important road. So I don't understand why that road has been left, to that kind of a deplorable state. So I want to commend the delegation for highlighting that challenge, and I'm believing God that because of course when a politician makes a promise, you just have to believe God.
Well, you keep saying a politician.
No, because politicians in this climb over time have proven not to be trusted, so when they make promises, we'll just at best we'll just sit down and hope that their promises will actually come to pass.
But again, the governor also said something concerning Endorama. He particularly praised President Bola Tinubu for attracting a $14 billion investment to Nigeria, and said, highlighting what the president did concerning Endorama and the expansion of the scope of work of Endorama University. And he also said that Rivers State government has also decided to give 200 hectares of land. Again, that's a very strong one.
Well, naturally, when you have companies like Endorama cited in your location, the ideal thing to expect is that there will be jobs. Jobs will be created. It will also stimulate business in the local. It will stimulate the local economy and all of that. That's the ideal situation, and I am hoping that this expansion will also lead to that. But however, the over 2 million square meters of land,
over 209 hectares of land to support the new investment.
To support the new investment. Ideally, that should be the case. But I want to ask. Let me play the role of a devil advocate, because I want to ask some very important questions. Presently, how has Endorama, helped the local economy in that place? Do they deserve such kind of great gift? What are the procedures in allocating?
You're saying it's a Greek gift. Why a Greek gift?
Because we want to understand the procedures for such allocation. We want to understand because you're going to take more lands from the host communities. So has Endorama justified their presence in that community? Are the communities carried along? You don't over time, because that is the same thing we are seeing with the AIT. Don't forget the challenge with the AIT. It was this kind of donation that a governor made to AIT. That land was actually donated to AIT, and today we are seeing the same government, taking back the land. First, we saw communities protesting and all of that. So due process should be done. Communities, the owners of that land should be consulted, and meetings should be held, and the communities should actually buy into the project. There should be inclusivity, in the whole of planning, in the whole log, from the planning to the seeding of the land to Endorama and all of that. Then we should also there is also a need for us to look at how Endorama has helped those communities, how Endorama has profited Rivers State. Our dividends from Endorama, from the investment we made, how are those dividends spent? How much goes back to the community people? How much is translating to development in the state? These are some of the things we need to know, so that, we'll begin to, all of us will line up behind the governor and clap for him, for giving, that land. Now, the land, is Endorama paying for the land? Or is the federal government paying for the land? Or is it going to translate into dividends? Is it going to increase our dividends because we have shares in Endorama? So as we are giving them the land, are we converting it into shares? And so these are some of the questions that we need to also understand. So I have also highlighted that due process should be followed, because those are farmlands. That area is a farming community. So if you're going to give that land to Endorama, it means that people are going to be taken out of livelihood because people depend on those farms to survive. So are there alternative livelihoods you're going to create for the owners of those lands, the community? So these are some of the questions that we also, some of the details that we also we're looking forward to see.
Fantastic. A lot of questions begging for answer, and we are hoping that in the coming days, the government will talk to us, because what fantastic idea raised by the River State governor during the presentation to the president of Nigeria, commending the president for attracting a $14 billion investments approval project nationwide at the G20 summit, including expansion of Endorama Petroleum Element Petrochemical in River State, and also saying that as way of encouraging investment in that sector, River State government will be ceding about 209 hectares of land to support this investment. But again, this is a very critical decision that needs the buy-in of the people. So we'll be throwing up the telephone line. I will be getting your comments. So do you agree with Sunny Dada that government should consult the community before ceding these 209 hectares of land in support of the new investment in Endorama? Now, we want you to send us your comments. Follow us on Facebook. We're live on Super 93.3 FM and Twitter, Super News PH. And also the investment of our investment in Endorama. Do you also agree with Sunny Dada that government needs to keep Rivers people up to date? What is the dividends of our investment there? We'll throw open the telephone lines now, 070-5079-1021. 081-174-31021, and I'm having a conversation with Sunny Dada. Sunny Dada is the head, Free Expression and Pluralism Institute of Media and Society, and the former spokesperson of the Civil Liberties Organization in River State. We're looking at the recent visit of the 62-man delegation from River State to President Bola Tinubu. It is over 23 hours after that visit, and we're looking at the dividends of the visit. We're looking at what the visit means to ordinary Rivers people. Let's take your call. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank. Hello, good morning.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me? Good morning.
Mr. Shebu, good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Hello, good morning. All right, the telephone lines, and just keep it coming in. And you can also send us your WhatsApp comments. Send WhatsApp to 090-5948-1021. And that is where to send your WhatsApp number, your WhatsApp comments to. We'd like to hear all of your comments. Yes, good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank.
Good morning, Shebu.
Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
My name is Frank, from Villa.
Frank, good morning.
The visit of Nigeria and Mr. President.
Frank, I think your line is muffled. I apologize, Frank. Maybe you might need to just use a better line to call us. We can't hear clearly what you're saying. Frank, thank you so much. But let's take another one. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank.
Good morning, Shebu.
Good morning.
Thank you. My name is Good News. Shebu.
Good news. Good morning.
Thank you. And I give to your brother Sunny Dada. I give you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
I took time to listen to the conversation, discussion. But quick one. Let me start from yes, the visit for Shebu asked if the visit is so important. It's so important. I said that to them, the visit is so important because let me tell you, things are going on. They're working on this sort of psychological movement. You know, they have a case in the court with Tony Cole and the Labour Party. The visit of River State people to the President Tinubu, for me, it has a kind of psychological effect that I want to sell to the judges. That is my own point to sell to the judges so that they'll see that the president is acquainted with the government of River State. That is one of the achievements I think we're going to get. Number two, we talked about the issue of the Bako that died. They said there are 100
well, again, we will come to that. Good news. We will come to that because you see, of course, the governor raised security concern. However, we're looking at the economic aspect, the investment aspect, and even the delegation itself, which you've said, well, for you, it's a very good one. So again, let's just take some more call. Dr. Josie Wokocha was trying to call us, and I think is the spokesperson for Endorama, and we will get to that. So let's take more calls now. 05070 50791021. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank. Hello, good morning. All right, you can send us WhatsApp messages and we'll entertain all your WhatsApp calls. And we'll put up all your WhatsApp calls. If you're finding it difficult to get on the line, send us WhatsApp messages. We'd like to hear from you on WhatsApp as well. Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Professor.
Good morning.
This morning. This is Madam Dr.
Madam Doctor, good morning.
Good morning, sir. I want to say that the visit of our people to the president is a good one. And just like our guest is saying this morning, all we need to do is to make sure that the communities buy into all that the governor has said, so that we all will benefit, especially the needed communities around the country. I think that is a thing that every Rivers man or woman should be able to follow it up and make sure that the thing goes well. They have done, they have come back, we are happy. For me, I'm very happy that they went. Especially my road that they spoke about. I can't enter the station straight with. I'm happy that they went and presented our matters. I'm grateful. May God bless them. Madam Dr. Thank you, sir.
Madam Doctor, thank you so much. And let's take another one here. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. JJ, you on the line? Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, fantastic. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Let me greet your guests in the studio.
Now, JJ, just do something for us. Could you put on just move away from the radio set to avoid the whole back. Thank you.
It was like that because I was not hearing you, but I can hear you loud and clear now.
All right.
I said, let me greet your guests in the studio.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to correct an impression because I kept using that word over and over again. He said the so-called delegation. So-called delegation. I had him use that word 3 times. These are no so-called people. The governor of a state, the former governor of a state, the former MBA chairman, and so many of them presidents, and so many people of top hierarchy, former ambassador and all those, are not so-called people. But I want to also let him know, thank God you said that the Endorama spokesman is calling, for the communities to have their land there, all the communities that have land in that Endorama project are also dividend holder in Endorama today. So every community, including its community, your community, my community, will want to be part of it so that they can also be part of the largesse that comes from the declaration of the dividend. And you can see that the president has also drawn $14 billion investment into a state. And he said they shouldn't go thank him. And also for me as a person, the problem of the state has been explained to the president, and the president is part of the whole thing right now. And the derided monster that has been facing us as a people, which is the east-west road from the Element Junction to One, is just out of this world. And the people have died there, and that has been presented, and the president has made a concrete a decision to say, look, we'll fix this road and all those put together, and somebody is still doubting. I don't get it at all.
Okay.
So for me, the Endorama coming to invest and the government giving them land, every community will want to build their land right now, because if you know what the people who are landowners in that area, 7.5%, what they are benefiting right now, you see peer review mechanism, you see hospitals, you see them constructing roads, scholarship abroad, and so many other communities like Okerewa community and all those put together. So for me, I think you should learn more about the Endorama model.
All right, fantastic.
And see how
JJ,
they work and all those put together.
if you would just permit me, I just want to correct something quickly. The $14 billion investment is not meant for River State alone. It's nationwide project. But again, we also understand that there's a significant investment coming in from Endorama to River State. It's quite significant. And again, yes, very, very significant, actually.
Yes.
And when you talk about maybe Sunny Dada said the so-called delegation, again, if you listen to me carefully, I was very, very careful to highlight the fact that someone in the capacity of OCJ Okocha, a former president of the Nigerian Bar Association,
but after that, he also used that word again. It's not a good one.
Maybe it's a matter of semantics. Maybe it's a matter of semantics.
Commonizing these people.
No, I'm not sure.
Nigeria are top notch.
JJ, I'm not sure that was the intention, because you cannot commonize somebody like Nigerian ambassador.
I just felt that impression.
Right. Fantastic. But again,
though you have done that, thank you very much.
The point you raised very, very clear, and again, the community to buy into this, and this is very, very clear. But thank you again, JJ.
Community already have 7.5% shares in Endorama. The workers have 2.5%.
Now, I'm talking about other communities opening up.
Have 10%, and they are getting big money. So it's not just mere investment; it's free investment.
Well, fantastic. Well said, JJ. Well said, JJ. And we'll take 2 more calls, and we'll go back to also speaking to those who are with us, joining us via the WhatsApp message. So let's just take your call. Yes, we have another call coming through. Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank. Good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning. All right, let's just take some of the comments coming in on WhatsApp. We'll be getting
morning. My name is Michael.
Michael,
I agree with your guest in so many perspectives. For example, talking about the quality of people who were on that entourage, it doesn't really count. So if they are very influential, let's see the Minister of Work, be directed by the President to fix that road in the next 3 months. Otherwise, I'll consider the entire whole thing as people just seeking opportunity to have handshake with the president, and that's it. So let's not celebrate yet. It is actual wants and not these praises and all of these political talks. Please, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that. We'll take another one. Hector, good morning.
I believe that the visit to Mr. President is not entirely a bad idea. Over the years, for almost 8 years or thereabout, the River State government and the central government has not been in a good relationship, and some has argued that, and that has been the reason why we do not have central or federal projects in River State, present in River State. But now new administration has come, and both the center and the states. And I believe that this new administration has thought it wise to align with the center so that there will be a cordial relationship that will attract federal government presence to River State. And so I'm of the opinion that the visit is not in a wrong order. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we can appreciate that. Again, we have not said the visit is bad, but again, we're looking at the gains of the visit, and also we're looking at the presentation, and we're asking that could it be better? Yes, Sunny Dada here has applauded some of the presentation made by the governor as fantastic and one that is good for us. However, he also feels that there are some ends that need to be well tied properly. Maybe, Sunny, you want to react to some of the comments? Yes.
Yes, I quickly want to react to JJ. Maybe I'm really happy that you highlighted to him that maybe it's a problem of semantics. If you recall, I said that yes, there are notable people in that delegation. Then you said we are going to discuss, the constitution of that committee. So JJ, please, this is not to say that I am impugning on the members of the committee. My point is that it is not in the size of that delegation. It should be in the quality of the delegation. It could be 100, like I said. It could also be a 3-man delegation or 5-man delegation. What I want to see is what is coming out from that meeting at the end of the day, not in terms of pronouncements, but in terms of how such pronouncements can translate to actual development in the state. So pointing out or picking out a comment, the use of a word, so-called, I think that may not be too necessary. Then Madam Dr. Gokana has talked about, she also amplified the need for inclusivity for those communities. And it's very important because over time, most times we have crises in communities, between host communities and industries and companies. Most times we see those crises because of lack of inclusivity. You just see one strong man from the community, claiming to represent the community and taking what should have come to the community. So it's very, very important that in all of this, as we look forward to this expansion and this investment, we carry the communities along. As we look at taking their lands, we also carry them along and let them agree that yes, the taking of land is justified, so that at the end of the day we don't have another round of crisis. JJ pointed out that these communities are shareholders. We know that they are shareholders, but the point should still be made that even as they are expanding, there is also a need to also sometimes look at how we can even renegotiate these terms to see how communities can even benefit more.
Well, fantastic. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Point Blank Saturday, coming to you from Super 93.3 FM Port Harcourt. It is 23 hours after a 62-man delegation from River State, drawn from political leaders, traditional leaders, religious leaders, visit President Bola Tinubu in Abuja, and the delegation was led by the River State Governor Similai Fubara. President Bola Tinubu described the delegation as an inspirational delegation, and the delegation made a whole lot of presentation on behalf of Rivers people. First, thanking President Bola Tinubu for attracting a $14 billion investment portfolio for project nationwide during the G20 summit, including attracting expansion of Endorama petrochemical in Eleme local government area. While the delegation made some very critical demand from the federal government, the delegation is also made some promises on behalf of River State. And one of the promises made by the delegation was that River State will be contributing over 209 hectares of land to assist in the expansion of the work of Endorama petrochemical. This is big. And again, we'll be looking at all of that. We'll be looking at the gains from that visit. And we're also asking ourselves, are there other things that the delegation should have talked about? And one critical one, Sunny Dada, that the delegation talked about was the issue of insecurity. In fact, the River State Governor, in his speech, commiserated with the Nigerian police and with President Bola Tinubu over the murder of the SP Bakowan Bashim here in River State. And the River State, the governor made a call for the establishment of a special task force. Would there be a need for that?
I must tell you that I was worried when he talked about special task force. Because as somebody who is coming from the human rights community, the first thing that came to my mind is: are we not going to have challenges with human rights? Because when you say a special task force for those areas, I want to ask again, which area in River State that is not under a low-level militancy? The entire Niger Delta is still under some form of low-level militancy, especially in Rivers. Our biggest challenge in Rivers State is cultism. So if we're going to require a special task force for Awoda East, it means in all LGAs, we're actually going to require a special task force. I believe that the police has the capacity to address the issue of cultism, the challenge of cultism in Rivers State, because the new CP that came, I think he's a bit old now. When he came, he recorded strings of successes. They went after this cultist, and we saw a bit of calm, even though I think that they are still, the thing is rearing its head again. But I believe that if the police wants to work, they will work. Let me tell you something. Our security agencies, especially the DSS, they know who is causing trouble in this country. They know who is doing what and all of that. So sometimes it has to do with political will.
Okay.
If security agencies rise up this morning to say they want to end cultism in this state, I don't think anything can stop them.
But again,
sometimes
when you talk about,
because their hands.
I beg your pardon, when you talk about political will, are you talking about political will on the part of the state government? Because again, if Governor Similai Fubara would be telling the president that we need a special task force, it could also show something that perhaps what we currently have on ground is not strong enough.
That has been the challenge with governors. They are supposed to be chief security officers in their states. But unfortunately, they don't control the police. They don't control the army. If the CP must do anything, the CP has to take instruction from the IG. But even though that is the case, we have also seen some very influential governors, who also unofficially, in quotes, controlled the CPs of their various states, and my thinking is this: the governor does not need to tell the president that he needs a special task force. What he needs to tell the president is to instruct the IGP, to instruct the CP in the state to do what they are supposed to do. Or what the governor should do is to ask the CP what are his challenges. If the challenges has to do with equipment, motivation, then the government can do an intervention in that area. I think the past government did that. Even under Odili, under Amici, we saw such interventions where they bought them roving vehicles and all of that. So the state government can do that kind of intervention, but calling for a special task force, because remember, that was what led to the NSAS protests and the eventual disbandment of NSAS, the SARS unit. So if we are now calling for a special task force, it means we are also asking for another SARS. And even right now, we still have challenges with the way the police operate. Fine, they are trying, but there are still bad elements, amongst them, who sometimes when they appear, they don't even have name tags. So that, when they do those things they do, you can't even trace them, you can't even identify them. So I think that asking for a special task force may not be too well for the communities, because that place where that incident happened, people have relocated from that place, out of fear. And most times we have seen situations where when these kind of things happen, as they go into the communities, it is the innocent people, that they end up arresting. The truth of the matter, and we should say the truth, we should tell them, we shouldn't pretend like we don't know what is happening in River State. Most of these people have backing from politicians.
But you see again,
that is why most times the security agencies are also limited in going after these people. We have heard several testimonies from security agencies where they will arrest criminals and they will receive calls from very powerful people to release, those people. So and that is why I'm talking about will, the political will. Tell the CP nothing is restraining you. Go after these people. The president should tell the IGP nothing is restraining you. Go after these people. Go after these criminals. I think the police has a capacity to bring sanity.
I'm also looking at that particular aspect of the presentation made by Governor Similaye Fubara, and we will just try to play you that place and that aspect again, because on one hand, I understand what the governor is trying to say, but again, everything you are passing out information. Because on one hand, the governor has talked about the huge investment of President Bola Tinubu, which is also cascading to River State. And on the other hand, the governor is also talking about insecurity, and the governor is sounding helpless, which could send another critical signal to business people. And you and I know that business people don't like investing where there seems to be insecurity. Isn't that, do you think the handlers of the script of Governor Similaye Fubara should have done a better work on that aspect?
Well, I listened to that part carefully. He said the areas that
to play back. But again, yes, go ahead.
He said the areas that are affected. So my thinking is special task force for Awoda East. In fact, even Awoda West, that as is. So my thinking is a special task force is for that area, not for the entire state. But what I'm saying is that what is happening in Awoda East, Awoda West, that as is, of the state, is also happening in many other parts in River State. There is a low-level militancy. Remember, before the election, the United States Embassy issued a travel warning to their citizens, and they highlighted some of these issues in their travel warning. So it is happening. So we shouldn't pretend like we don't know that these things are happening. Maybe because a DPO has been killed, so we are now scapegoating Awoda East. So it is everywhere. And my thinking is that these security agencies, they know who is causing trouble, who is doing what, and if they want to go after those people, they can go after them. But they need political will.
Okay.
They need anything that is restraining them should be removed. I tell you, if they are unrestrained, if you ask them to go after, I tell you, in less than 1 month, we'll see a sanity in this state.
Well, fantastic. We have some comments coming in, and we have a lot of people who are trying to join us on telephone. So we'll take more of your calls, 070-5079-1021 and 081174 31021. And again, we're looking at the visit by the 62-man delegation from Rivers State to President Bola Tinubu, which President Bola Tinubu has described as inspirational, and made big presentation. The governor of Rivers State would let that delegation made to President Bola Tinubu. So what's your thinking concerning the visit? We will take 2 calls, and after the 2 calls, we will come back looking more to some of the comments, and we'll also be looking at what President Bola Tinubu said. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. This is Point Blank. Good morning. All right, let's take another one. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Shegun.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, my greetings to your guests in the studio.
Thank you.
Yeah, in as much that we are trying the best we can to tackle security in Rivers State, like the state has already said, our politicians they are complicit in all of this issue of insecurity. And whether we like it or not, the people that was killed at Ahoda was in Ogoni, and the Ogoni people cooperated with him, and that was why he recorded high level of success in Ogoni land. But on getting to Ahoda, we wouldn't know, because you can't tell me that a 10-man delegation went for whatever mission, and then only the people was singled out.
Well, again, we're not looking at that particular issue now. Again, we that's something we've discussed, and that's something we're leaving for security people to go. But again, we're looking at the presentation the governor made in the light of what happened, and the governor asking for a special task force in that axis. And we're asking that, should that be the right demand from the governor? All right, thank you so much. I think we'll take another call here. Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank. Good morning.
Shego, my name is Akanto.
Akanto, good morning. Thank you so much.
Good morning, my friend, Sunny Dada.
Good morning, Akanto.
Yes, sir. Well, to me, the delegation is commendable, and again, it is a widespread delegation, because all the regions, this central region, the River State, were captured, right group captured, member of bar, politician, capital of industry, even the trade union, when I look at the list, were captured. So I want to commend the arrangement, the hierarchy, and of course the delegation was led by the Excellency, the Governor of Rivers State. And their demand is the yearning and expectation of Rivers people. You know, not all of us will go to Asura to make a presentation. And again, you know, the issue of Endorama were captured. And the fourth area where criminality and insecurity is ravaging for now, also capture.
All right, Akanto, well, thank you so much for your comments. Let me just take another one. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Misha Kuyi.
Yeah, good morning, Shegu Owulabi. Good morning to your guest, Sunny Dada. Shegu, I also happen to be the former secretary of the Civil Liberty Organization in Rivers State.
Good.
I want to thank your guest for his thoughts. Like JAG and some other persons, like you also explained, I was a bit worried sometimes when we use words and we now explain it away with the use of word semantics. No, I think that some certain words can just be avoided rather than just using them as an issue. Having said that, let me say that our issue of insecurity in Ahoda area. I'm from Ahoda West. Shegu, late SP Bako is not just a mere DPO. His operations is a tactical one. It's a specialized kind of operation. And I think that it is in the mode of that Bakos that the governor is actually asking for a specialized force.
Okay.
You remember that Bako, throughout all his operations and successes, both in Ogoni and, the success he was already making in Epe land, did not commit any human rights violations. No incriminating human rights violations against innocent persons. I must say this clearly. Let me put it on record. And so if you can get Bakos, people in the mode of Bako, specialized, that is what we need.
All right, fantastic.
Violent situations like this require violent gale. And I want to say, let it rage. For those who are free,
you will be free.
All
For
right.
those
Thank
who
you so much, Misha
never listened to it, and I think that the wrath of the law will come. And I bet you your guests do not know what is happening in FA land.
All right. Thank you so much, Misha.
No,
Right.
excuse me. Most communities were actually being balkanized by these guys, and they are being built on a monthly and daily basis by these hoodlums, by these criminals. And it is beyond even
I have to let you go, Misha Kuli.
left.
I'm sorry, I have to let you go because we need to take all the callers, and we have another call. Dr. Josie, Dr. Josie is joining us, and Dr. Josie is the spokesperson for Endorama. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Josie.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shegu. I would like to also greet the guests in your studio. Let me start by congratulating our governor for leading such a very high-powered delegation to our president to discuss the issues of River State, which is our state. Let me go straight to the issue of Endorama.
Okay.
I think the guest in the studio, if he had done a little research, he wouldn't have just come out to begin to make some of the statements he made. But let me just clarify him. Number one is that Endorama and LMA community, they are like partners in progress. Like some of the callers have said, Endorama community owns 7.5% of the equity of Endorama LMA Petrochemicals Limited. And this is a humongous thing when you think of what comes out of it. I wouldn't want to go into what the LMA people benefit from such a humongous thing. And Shegu, you will realize that the PIA Act, just passed by the National Assembly, only recommended 3% for host communities. And many companies have not been able to do that. But Endorama is giving 7.5% to the host communities. And your guest also talked about what is the state government gaining. You didn't know that the state government has 10% of the equity in LMA Petrochemicals. And Shegu, you would recall that our former governor, when he went to the State House of Assembly to ask for him to borrow some funds to build some of the bridges we are seeing today, some of the infrastructures we are seeing today, he told the House that the money is going to be based on what they gain from the 10% they invested in LMA Petrochemicals. So if the shares of the River State government in LMA Petrochemicals can be used as a guarantee for the repayment of such a loan, you can imagine what impact that is having on the state government.
Dr. Josie, if you will permit me to come in at this juncture, and we quite appreciate you joining us to make all of this clarification. In fact, we are excited. I am particularly excited by the investment opportunity that Endorama will be bringing in, expanding the investment opportunity. However, I'm not sure Sunny Dada said River State government does not make any money from Endorama, or we are not aware. But what Sunny Dada was talking about is the comment made by the River State governor that the people of River State will be given 209 hectares of land for the expansion of the work Endorama is doing. And Sunny Dada is asking that, is the community people carried along? Do we have the buy-in of the community people? And again, it's also saying that we should not forget that this would affect the livelihood of the community people who are agrarian, who are farmers. Has that been considered? Those are the questions. And I don't know, maybe you want to say something along that line.
Yeah, Shegu, I would like to state categorically that Endorama and the host communities, like I said earlier, are partners in progress. You cannot take that kind of land without having proper negotiations with both the local community and the River State government. And let me tell you that we have just completed the EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment, for the construction of our third train of the fertilizer plant. And the community because we usually have an MOU supervised by the River State government. All these things are contained in that MOU, which states what the local community will gain from such things and what Endorama company will also gain. So what Sunny is saying at the studio, the Endorama company and the element community have sat together and these things have been clarified. And he talked about inclusivity. Endorama makes sure that everyone in the community, all the critical stakeholders are taken along. Okay. He can call the
Dr. Josie.
Majesty.
Dr. Josie,
yes.
You know you are my Oga. I'm gonna extract a commitment from you. And the commitment I'm going to extract from you is that you will come on Point Blank next week. We will discuss all of this. You'll be our guest. You'll tell us some of these things that Endorama has done to ensure inclusivity, what Endorama has done to ensure that the local people are carried along. You talked about the environmental impact assessments. We'll be looking at all of that. Are you promising us that you will grant us that privilege?
That will be our privilege, Shegu.
Fantastic. So we'll have you. But again, Sunny Dada wants to say one or two things before we let you go, Dr. Josie.
Dr. Josie, thank you. Thank you for some of the clarifications you have provided for some of the questions we asked. As a matter of fact, what I did on Endorama is ask questions, and I will continue to ask, and I still have more. I'm happy that you have agreed to come here next week, Saturday. I will be online, and I will also be asking further questions. But what is exciting is the inclusivity part that you talked about, and that has been my challenge. And it is not just because of Endorama. It is because of what we have seen, the antecedents, the precedents we have seen, when it comes to meeting obligations, to host communities in the state, in the Niger Delta generally. So I am happy that you said Endorama is operating differently. The Endorama community and the Eleme people, you said are partners in progress, and this is our advocacy, and that's what we want to see. And I am praying and hoping that, just as you have stated, that is the situation on the ground. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Dr. Joseph, we must thank you. And we are glad at the decision of Endorama to even open up the economy of potentials of River State. And I think this is commendable, Dr. Joseph.
Thank you very much, Shegu. Let me also thank Sunny. Sunny is a very nice guy, and I'm sure he has come here not to impugn on anybody, but to make his comments. And comment is free. Thank you very much, Sunny. And
so we'll be having you next week, and you'll be making more explanation. Thank you so much, Dr. Josie, and that's the spokesperson for Endorama. Again, we have that clip on what Governor said to President Bola Tinubu on security and the setting up of that special task force. I will just play it back. Maybe we'll just do a little bit about that before we begin to end the show. There are other aspects we would have loved to go to.
I would have. I really wanted to talk about the composition of that committee. Okay. we didn't touch that.
Actually, I want us to even look at what President Bola Tinubu said. But time is not just an aside. But let us just have another listen to what the governor said on the security.
President, the Nigerian Police Force, and the family of the Slate Divisional Police Officer of Ahoda East Local Government Area, who lost his life on account of cruel and dastardly act of some criminal. River State government has already taken up the matter with the seriousness it deserves. As security agency has been fully mobilized to track down and arrest the perpetrators. River State government has already declared wanted leaders of the gangs, 1-2 Baba of Ahoda East Local Government Area and VIP of Ahoda West Local Government Area, with members of their criminal gangs, and placed a bounty of 100 million naira on their head, so as to ensure that they are speedily arrested. River State government and our people have vowed to stop at nothing to apprehend them, to make them face the full wrath of the law. But be that as it may, we humbly plead with Your Excellency to direct the National Security Advisor, the Inspector General of Police, and the Chief of Defense Staff to establish a special task force to take charge of these troubled areas to complement the efforts of the state government in fishing out these criminals who specialize in pipeline vandalization, crude oil theft, and other nefarious activities, which threaten national investment and adversely affect the economy of our dear, beloved country, Nigeria.
So again, that was the demand by Governor Similai Fubara to the president. Again, we've talked about the need to also understand that the human rights of our people will be protected. So when we call for this special task force,
we will continue to talk about. Sometimes when you ask for a thing, you should also look at the intended and unintended outcomes.
Yeah.
The intended outcome in this case for the governor is so that there will be security,
there will be
peace, and all of that is the intended outcome. What about the unintended outcome? It is not enough to look at the intended outcome alone. You should place it side by side with the unintended outcome. And the unintended outcome is the human rights angle that we're talking about. And we're still going to talk about it. My take is that we don't need any special task force in Rivers State. If we need a special task force in Rivers State, it means we're going to need a special task force in the entire Niger Delta. If we need a special task force in Awoda East, Awoda West, it means we're going to need a special task force in all the local government areas in Rivers State, because what is happening in that axis of the state is happening everywhere. Let me tell you something. Somebody talked about how the GPO is a special GPO and all of that. I agree. I've read some, commentaries about it.
I just wanted to pause on that line, because I just want to establish the fact that Dr. Minazu Jackson of the Institute of Human Rights and Humanitarian Law is also joining us. And Dr. Minazu Jackson is interested in this. I'll be giving Dr. Minazu Jackson some time to speak, but you can go ahead. Yes.
So what I'm saying is that the summary of what I'm trying to say is that the police has the capacity to go after these people. And I highlighted what the new CP did when he came on board, the successes he recorded. So with that, I think that with proper motivation, with the right equipment, the police can go after these people without any special task force or whatever.
Yeah, fantastic. Let me bring in Dr. Minazu Jackson at this moment. Dr. Minazu Jackson, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sunny,
thank you so much. Fantastic. So, Doctor, you heard the speech of the governor on this need for the special task force. Is this also in line with your thinking?
It will differ a little, but let me correct one thing. We are of the International Society for Social
Okay, International Society. Yeah, my apologies. It's not an institute. Yes.
Yeah. I think the governor, I would say, well done for at least raising the issue with the presidency, which is the highest authority in the land. Something needs to be done to clean the audience table in Rivers State in terms.
Dr. Minazu Jackson,
special task force. If at all it will be allowed in Rivers State, then civil society organizations should be made up so to check the human rights angle of the task force. But I think that the Rivers State Police Command is properly guided too. They can effect the change we are yearning for in Rivers State in terms of security. But mostly, Rivers State needs industries. Take away the idle hands from the street. There's no way you can check insecurity without providing jobs for the younger elements. We need industries. We want to see industries spring up. We have gotten enough flyovers. Let us go into industrialization. That's my opinion about this. Thank you very much.
Dr. Minazu Jackson, we indeed thank you so much for explaining that to us, and we thank you for joining us. Now, since Sunny Dada is interested in the composition of the 62-man delegation, maybe we'll spend 3 minutes to talk about that because we should be going into the next segment of the show. So quickly, I will just play an audio clip of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory and the immediate past Governor of Rivers State introducing some members of the 62-man delegation. I just want you to listen to this.
The camera will be blocking some people, so I will just call them as they appear in the document given to me. Your Excellency, this visit is led by His Excellency, the Governor of Rivers State, Sir Similai Fubara. He is the one leading this delegation. Your Excellency, next to him is the Deputy Governor Governor, Professor Ngozi Odo. The Excellency next to her is the Right Honorable Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Martin Ameule. The Excellency is the Chairman of the State Traditional Rulers Council, or her Sergeant, I would say, the Newell Emo. Next is the Distinguished Senator Odwalo Yesu. Next to him, the Excellency is Senator Laka Wogu. Next to him is Senator John Asota Mbata. Next to him is Senator Dawari Pepu. And then next is the party chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Ambassador Desmond Nakau. Next is the acting chairman of the All Progressive. I don't know, so that's what I was saying. Got the camera. Ambassador Maureen Tamino, just of Jamaica. I think she's there. Okay. And Commander in Chief.
Okay, so at least you have a glimpse, even if we don't have the entire picture of everybody there. But I can tell you that O.C. Jokocha was there, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. We have more traditional rulers there.
Okay. I was. I read through the reports. In fact, I took time to go through the reports. My interest. My interest was to see the members, the people that made up that 62-man delegation, and not. I wasn't just looking out for their positions or titles. I was looking out for the spread.
Okay.
Across religious lines, party lines, in other social sectors.
Actually, we have the picture on our social media. If you go to Super FM PH, you will see the picture right there. Yes.
So while I acknowledge that yes, the delegation was made up of some notable personalities, there are also many notable personalities in Rivers State that I thought that should have been part of that kind of important delegation. For instance, that kind of delegation, my thinking is this: you need captains of industry from Rivers State,
okay,
to be made up, to be part of that 62-man delegation, and we have them. We need very strong civil society advocates that have been advocating, for the well-being of the Niger Delta, doing so much with organizations like PANDEF, who are from Rivers State, Ken Robinson, somebody like Ken Robinson, Ankyo Briggs. These are people that should be part of that kind of delegation. Peter Side Atedo, the owner of a Standard Trust Bank. These are captains. Even this man that contested, what's his name? Jack, is it Ten Jacques? Ten Jacques, who has done so much. Yes, who has done so much contributing to the GDP of this country. He's a Rivers man. Those are people that should be in that. Even the APC governorship flag bearer. Yeah, should be in that committee. So these are people that when they speak, they will get the attention from the president, because the presidency knows their background, their well-being, their position over time, what they are doing, contributing to the GDP of this country. And these are Rivers men, and telling him that he needs to give attention to their state. The president knows the implication of having such people coming to make certain demands for him. So if you're going to that kind of place, you need very strong people, strong advocates, that when they talk, they are not reading from a prepared script. They know that, they know what they want. They know what the region wants, what the state wants, and they are not mincing words. Because they are not politicians, they don't have anything to lose. They say they tell the truth. They tell the president not what he needs to hear, but what he must hear. So that's my thinking. So
what you and I may not know is that we don't know if these people you mentioned were invited.
I want to give them the benefit of that. I want to give the government the benefit of doubt that actually the intention was to spread the net, wide. But maybe, like you have just said, these people were not available to be part of that delegation. But I'm telling you that my thinking is that if we are sending that kind of delegation to the presidency, we should include this kind of personalities in that.
Well, fantastic. And Sunny Dada, on that note, unfortunately, we cannot go to what the president said, because I would have loved for us to go to what the president said, and we also have that. But again, we must thank you sincerely. And the discussion will continue on the social media. You can go to our social media page on Super FM PH on Facebook, Twitter, Super FM News PH, and Instagram, Super FM 93.3, and Thread, Super FM 93.3. So many comments right there, so many arguments. Do you agree with Sunny Dada, for example, that that perhaps the list should have been more open to include some captains of industry. Do you agree that some names should have been part of the 62-man delegation? Do you agree with Sunny Dada? Let us continue the conversation on our social media page, and would like to have all of that join us. Once again, thank you so much, Sunny Dada, the head, Free Expression and Pluralism Institute of Media and Society, and former spokesperson of CLO. Thank you so much for coming to the studio this morning.
Thank you, Shogun, for inviting me, and thank you, Rivers people.
All right, we'll be taking a short break. When we come back from the break, well, it is true that we are looking at 100 days in office of the present government, but again, the legislature, the legislative arm of government, is also playing a very critical role. And the 10th Assembly of the Rivers State House of the Rivers State House of Assembly